Hello everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you again so much for joining these Ahhaa talks. And we apologize for the inconvenience last Friday. We couldn't do the call because of technical glitch. And we're so grateful that our guest, Chris, a dear friend, is back here again, willing to take out time and having this lovely chat with us that we are truly going to gain a lot. So thank you, Chris, for making out time again.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Same here, Chris. Before we get started, I'll just let our friends know a little bit about Chris, and then Diane and I will kind of pick his brain and know a little bit about what he has to share in his amazing journey. So how often do you get a two-time Olympian on a talk show like this? And from the time we heard that, we've been thrilled. Chris is an amazing background. He represented his country, UK, for 2 times in Sydney and Athens in the game of Taekwondo. And so that is what thrills me every time when I say it. Here we have a 2-time Olympian. And there's much more. It doesn't stop there. He served as a captain for British Special Forces for 11 years. And he's known as this individual who just creates these amazing fitness centers around the world. And from Saudi Arabia to Malaysia to Maldives, name a country, he has been making his footprint. And he carries this wonderful name of bringing functional fitness to India. While we know a lot of chains, a lot of brands just basically open their franchise in India, here is someone who took the passion, not just virtually, but he literally moved to India. He's right here in Pune, and he has been doing this amazing work of bringing fitness to the country. And that's remarkable. That literally shows his love and to be able to dedicate his time and his physical energy right here and making an impact that I'm sure we definitely need a lot in this country and of course every other part of the world. So here we have Chris, and we're going to really talk today about this whole subject called body, mind, immunity. Immunity, I'm sure it rings a bell for all of us. Everyone is talking about what should I do to get this immunity? What should I eat? How should I walk? How should I consume? In what manner? My routine. And it basically falls in 2 realms, the body and the mind. And while we have been extremely passionate about the mind, we thought it'd be great to have Chris on the show and really look at this interlink between body and mind. So welcome once again, Chris. How are you doing? How is everything where you are? Hope all is safe. And how is your daily routine?
Everything's great here in Pune. And by the way, thank you for the introduction. I need you to talk to my mother more often. Yeah, it's, this coronavirus was a very strange time. I opened my India facility, my latest India facility, 6 weeks before the lockdown. So we kind of never really opened, but we've taken the company online now. The entire platform of at least fitness globally is changing. We lost one of the pillars of the industry just last month. Gold's Gym has changed its operation and left the bricks and mortar sphere. And it's never really going to be the same again because, of course, sweating and breathing heavily, that's how you contract the coronavirus. And we're asking everyone to go into a room and breathe heavily on each other. It's not going to happen. So we believe as a company that it'll be towards January before people really come back to gyms. But just recently, there was a chat with the Minister of Health. I wasn't involved in the chat, but a very good friend was. And they're trying to get health clubs listed as sort of healthcare providers. Because if we don't look after our body, you're not going to be around for very much longer. It's utterly key that we've got so much influence around us, the social media, which is the psyche of our environment, but also what we put in our mouth and what we eat. And sadly, it's not so much people don't want to, it's a lack of information. Still, in 2020, the industry's been going since, well, properly since the 80s, but since the 50s. With all the bodybuilding and Arnold Schwarzenegger and things like that. That's not my bag, but that's part of the industry. And the lack of information, people still think that it's eating less calories and eating protein and eating 20 eggs a day and suddenly I'm going to get big muscles. And it's nothing to do with that. It's part of it, but very, very little. And it's a lot to do with the mind, which I'm sure we're going to chat about today.
Well, you caught it right there. In fact, the first question was all about that. So even starting at a very basic, rudimentary level, this whole fundamental connection between body and mind, how are they connected, and what is your experience? So here you are, Chris as a body and Chris as a mind. And all that you have built in the last so many years, or every day when you wake up and you're inspired to make a difference through Hiit80 or through any of your work for that matter, what kind of a correlation you see between your emotions and the way your body flexes?
Yeah. I have some strange theories on this, but that's how it's made me who I am. It's an inside job, Ashwin. It's completely an inside job. Everything that we are is in between here and here. The rest, I very much believe, is a carriage. So it's kind of all within you as a person. You make your own choices. And I often wonder, can you be vulnerable to yourself? Everything is external in this world, and it's very difficult to look internal. A lot of people are reactionary people rather than thinking through, because the world is so fast. And I think that most people are actually a little scared to look inward at their own reality. And I mean this as a sportsman or other parts of my career as a businessman. If you can't work out who you are and do the stuff that you're good at, double down on the stuff you're good at and not the stuff you're bad at. I will go as far as to say that I'm dyslexic. I love being dyslexic. It's my superpower, because while I got extra time at school back in the day, and I was the only person left in the exam room with other people throwing blue tack at my head or paper at my head because I got some extra time, I couldn't read as fast for the questions to be able to process the questions. That's pure dyslexia. But it also makes me be able to think outside the box, be able to think around subjects, and it makes me quite artistic. So it's perfect for an entrepreneur, and there's a reason why there's so many big entrepreneurs that are dyslexic. So, but I know an awful lot of people, especially here in India, where it's not understood, that a dyslexia is seen very much as a negative. It's very much, oh, my kid's got dyslexia, can you talk to him? He's mentally corrupt or whatever. The reality is that dyslexia is a fantastic thing to have, because it's just a principle of the way you think. Now, the reality is that if you're going to make changes, you have to persist with the discomfort. So in, let's suggest, dyslexia's case, you're persisting with the discomfort that you're not quite sure how to cope with it. Now, thank God for spell check and computers. I really appreciate that, Mr. Microsoft. But you've got to think, what am I good at? What can I specifically do? Double down on what you're really good at and ignore the stuff you're bad at, and get help. And specifically as an entrepreneur in my world, I surround myself with brilliant people that can do the things that I can't do. And then I double down on what I can do. Which brings me to a thought that, you know, with being a sportsman, I've always said to myself, I'm built strong. I'll live forever. I say that to myself at least once a day, that I'm built strong and I'll live forever. Now, I know that's crazy. But when fear enters the mind, I quickly have to talk to myself and remove it. It's nearly like a fear of fear, because I know that that's, in my case, that's one of my weaknesses. So I have to suppress it quickly and reassure myself that I'm built strong. So my mind trigger is, I'm built strong, I'm going to live forever, big bravado, even though sometimes you can be a bit scared or have some fear. But I do believe, and this is where I may get a little weird, I do believe that if people think they're sick, they tend to get sick. If people are always worried about, you know, this Google meditation thing, what have I got today? If you think you've got cancer or you're constantly in fear of it, the reality is I think the body may manifest those cells in the body. So people who think they're sick and people who think that they're frail will be frail. If I'm training for something and my body is dying, I know that I've got another 40% to still keep going because I'm built strong. So it's a rather weird effect specifically with me. But if you think about it, the placebo effect works. It's proven that the placebo effect works. And my favorite example of this is the fight or flight. When you have to run out of danger, it doesn't matter how tired you are. If I've just run half a marathon, you're still going to get up and run because it's a pure fight or flight process. So that proves that physical ability is predominantly in the brain. It absolutely flatly proves it. So while you can train your body to be big and strong, if your mind isn't there, you fail before you get there. So by saying I'm built strong, I'm always sort of the last off the proverbial boat, because this is the carriage. Now, I know, Ashwin, you'll probably say, well, the cells are all connected, and I'm not going to go that far. I'm just going to say, this is my carriage. This is what runs that carriage. And while it's very fully connected, the mind is the strongest muscle in the body. So, and again, I bring you back to the fight or flight response of the body. People will always get up and run if they have to. I have a picture in my office where I'm sitting now. It's just behind the camera. And it's a picture of Yoda, you know, that Star Wars creature. And it says, follow your dream, you must. And it was painted by a very good family friend's 11-year-old kid. It's awesome. And everyone looks at it quite strange when they come in. But you can't follow your dream if your head's a mess. You can't go on a journey if your mind is messy, because you can't focus on what you're doing. Now, I will say at 40 years old, and with the accomplishments I've already had, I'm still just beginning my journey, and I don't think it'll ever finish. And I see some of your Facebook posts which join me on that. But you must be calm in your mind and in your heart, in your emotional state, so that the body can follow. Otherwise, you're always going to be at war with yourself, whether it's lifting weights or running a marathon, whatever you're training for. You're always going to be at war with yourself until you can get some calm up here. And athletes and army personnel always talk about just breathing and taking it easy before you approach something, because that's the calming of the mind. And I'll give you another fine example, and I have the ability to talk too much, but I'll give you another example. In my industry, we're always telling people 21 days and it'll become something you'll enjoy. And after 90 days, it'll become a habit. Now, that's not because I'm programming my body. Yes, the first week, if you haven't worked out, your arms may hurt a little bit and you'll have some stiffness, but people need to remember to stretch, and that's a whole new subject. But that's mental. And that's also a chemical balance in the brain with the endorphins kicking in. So if you think of the body side being endorphins and starting to love fitness, and the mind saying, actually, this is what I do now, that is a direct correlation between the mind and the body. So by me saying I'm built strong, or going around the corner of dyslexia, it's just triggers for me to be able to cope with putting myself through either some difficulty or trying to find some discipline, or simply just trying to get something done. Wow.
You're such a wealth of knowledge, because everything you're talking about, it's like, wow, it's what we teach. Do you want to, it's amazing. You've hidden so many points. And one of them is that the mind creates our reality. Whatever we are focusing on, we are bringing that energy to us. And clarity is so much power, because when you're clear of what you want, then you'll be able to know how to go ahead and get it. And it's amazing, you're sharing all these fine thoughts to our viewers.
You have to find focus. I truly believe that there's no journey without focus. And whether that is, let's look at one end of the spectrum. Let's say someone who's not looked after their body, the arteries are clogged, they've been smoking, they've been drinking, and all the organs are in a mess.
Right.
Their focus can be going to buy some bread and milk from the local shop. They got out there, they walked instead of took the car, they got home, they locked the door and carried on binge watching Netflix, but they did some activity. I'd love to mention that the World Health Organization back in the 80s used to say, can everybody please do 1 hour's exercise a day? And then in the 90s, now any doctors listening to this, I may get some of my facts wrong, so I do apologize. But in the 90s, they said, can you do half an hour? Come on, guys, just do half an hour. In the early 2000s, they said, let's do 25 minutes, 15 minutes. And just recently, a year ago, they're saying, everybody please do 3 to 5 minutes. And it's because obesity is running through this world. Diseases that we don't need to have anymore are still around because people aren't looking after themselves. And they're not looking after themselves because they're lazy. They're not looking after themselves because they don't have a purpose. And that is pure connection between the carriage and the brain.
That brings me to, you know, the question that I wanted to ask you. Talk about purpose. What drives Chris? What drove you from, you know, being that person who was diagnosed with dyslexia, which I think some of the greatest people, you know, were diagnosed with dyslexia, and they've become wonderful in the field of, you know, of wherever they are. And dyslexia do slow you down, but we all need to slow down. When we start to slow down is when we can see things clearer, when we can do things better. And I think sometimes living in a fast-paced world, we're just doing, and not able to see, you know, the bigger picture of everything that we are doing. So, you know, you mentioned in India and different parts of the world, dyslexia is seen as, you know, taboo. Same as mental health back in the days has been seen as a taboo. It's like, what are you talking about? I've got this disease, mental health. Am I crazy? But today we're seeing things differently, right? We're seeing it as like, wow, we all have to take care of our mind. Mental health is just basically your mind, right? We all have to take care of this wonderful mind that we have because the mind is the one that drives us. So what drives Chris?
Well, lots of things. May I just add on what you said about people's mental health? I still don't think it's recognized fully yet. I had a dinner party over the weekend with some very nice people, and one of the ladies that attended said she'd had 3 phone calls this month about acquaintances who wanted to talk to her because they wanted to either kill themselves or do something nasty to themselves. So I think that mental health is still seen as braided hair and hippiness, and it's not really serious. And I've even heard, well, if you can't look after your brain, then maybe that's just evolution. And it's garbage, because I see friends from either side, because I've traveled so much. I've got friends on one side of the world having a party and friends on the other side of the world in despair. And a month later, it flips. And it's amazing how many people, quite frankly, just need a hug. Sorry to put it that basically, but it's amazing how that is. Now, in my case, personally, I'm a very driven person. I'm a very, very fortunate person that doesn't need much external push to get off my backside. I'm very self-motivated, which is a very positive, and I think it probably derives from my parents, who were quite sporty, and generally my generation, you know, prior to telephones and prior to the internet, we went out and kicked a football around or went for a jog. And these kids these days, you know, they're handed an iPad, and that's not going to help the tummy in any way, shape or form. So, and I suppose I have to be really honest. In my case, my happiness is completely connected to my fitness. I have to have a sense of purpose always, otherwise I'm lost, and I don't sit at home. But it's a little bit of arrogance. I like to look good. I want to look good. I don't want to go to the beach and have small children pointing at me and saying, "What's that?" So it is a slight arrogance, but I think a healthy arrogance. And I would encourage other people to want to look good and want to look healthy, because if you look in the mirror and you smile, and I don't always, I mean, body dysmorphia is a massive thing. No matter how big your biceps get or flat your stomach gets, you're still looking going, well, I know a little bit could come off here, or I need my chest to square off a bit. So, and I find actually body dysmorphia is a massive thing in, say, the bodybuilding industry. They're actually quite connected for that perfection of look. But in my case, so it's to look good. But how can I say I'm built strong if I'm not strong? I'm 45 years old now. My wife still asks me to move that table from there to there. I still teach online classes. I want to be able to keep up with it. And my psychology of believing that I'm still 21, which my knees don't agree with, by the way. But I'll tell you about that later. But to look good. So how can you say you're built strong? How can you have a mental trigger? So let's suggest Ashwin came up with a mental trigger saying, my genes are healthy. How can you do that if he doesn't keep his oral hygiene healthy, if he doesn't look after himself, if he doesn't eat well? So these things they're two sides of the coin. But I mean, I have low days. I have days I want to hide under the bed like any other human being, and I'm quite partial to chocolate. But, you know, it's about the fuel you put in your body and how much you burn off. And if you're putting in more fuel than you're burning off, your body's going to add yellow fat cells to it. If you remove more fuel than you're eating, you know, the yellow fat cells will disappear. Diet is actually super simple, and the diet industry should be shot. I'm sorry, anyone watching from the diet industry, pills don't work. But on my case, I suppose mental health has to be connected to a sense of purpose. Mental thought without a sense of purpose. You know, the military talk a lot about this, that you can have really strong, mentally strong people, you know, they've had a tough life and mentally strong, but at the first sign of it going wrong, the first sign of when it gets really, really tough, it can lead to anger, disappointment, a sense of failure. So it's really important that people have a sense of purpose to what they're doing. And I'd like to add, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much maybe, but it's very rare to have a thought without emotion. And it's very rare to have emotion without a thought, except for the fight or flight concept. That's the only example I can come up with. So we can very clearly say where the mind leads, the body follows, and thus where the body leads, the mind will follow. It's this constant dance.
Yeah.
So this brings me down to number one key, discipline and habit. If you want to win, and God's honest truth, I want to win every time. There are athletes better than I am, there are businessmen better than I am, but I want to win. And it's not about the person I'm running next to or jostling with. If I've done a run in 4.5 minutes, I want to do it in 4:25. I want to beat myself every time. And that's about discipline. When it's raining and you got to go for a run or go get on your rowing machine, I can't run much anymore, but get on my rowing machine. And I'd rather stay in bed. But you've got to get up, because if you don't have discipline, where are you going to go? It's a journey. And I think people think it's a quick fix. Some people, I've got clients in my gym that they're going to take 5 years, 4 years to get themselves back into a happy place. And I keep telling them, when you're lying on your back, all you can see is the sky. So you can only go up. And as long as you remember that, there's hope. Wouldn't you say? I mean, people kind of fall in this well of despair because life sucks, or many of my clients say they're too unfit and it's too late in life to start.
Yeah.
But you can start at any point. You can start in your 70s and make a considerable difference to your life. So in my case, you know, I've been on a physical and mental roller coaster. You can't get to that level without having some ups and downs. So I tell myself that peak and trough roller coaster is just a line, because that line's the journey. You hear people saying 1 step forward, 2 steps back, or 2 steps forwards, 1 step back. It's very true. And isn't that actually everything in life? So as soon as people understand that everything is mental power, the world opens up. Then some stupid dyslexic kid with bad knees can actually win, run businesses, go to sporting championships and excel in life. Not because I'm anything super special, other than I think being driven is a special quality. But I understand that everything's in my brain. And if I don't get out of bed, it's my fault. It's truly my fault. And the rest of the day I'll be miserable. So I'll use a perfect example. Smoking. Smoking's the best example of this. You know that when you light up a cigarette, people say I smoke because people think it gets rid of stress and pressure. Oh, life is tough, I'll have a cigarette. The thing is that that cigarette's destroying your body, which then means it's going to put you in a deeper hole because your health's going to go down, so you're mentally not going to be fit. So by stopping smoking, which is discipline, habit, and it's difficult, your health's going to get better, which means you're going to be happier, which means your mental state's going to be better, so you won't need the crutch of smoking. So the discipline to get out of bed, I always think, and this is, if I can tell any of the viewers one thing, take small bites out of life. Take small bites. Many people, and I've been at fault of it as well, you say, right, I want to do that, and that's the end goal. And it happens with entrepreneurs a lot as well. Take small bites that are achievable. And if that's getting out of bed and going for a walk, or going to buy the bread and milk by walking, or training for some professional tournament, take small chunks out of your life. Because if the mind's broke, you're never going to be able to do fitness. And if your body's broke, you're never going to get your brain clear.
Chris, you kind of answer my second question. You're absolutely right. But today we live in a society where our mind is caught in so many things. With the internet, our attention span, it's just really quick. And I'm just thinking, going back to what you shared about the World Health Organization, where in the 80s it went from 1 hour to today we're at 3 to 5 minutes. And I'm just thinking also, might that be that we are living in a world of technology, which is a great thing, but our attention span is so shocked and so short, that the fact that we all want, and you're mentioning quick fix, we want to go on a diet and we want to lose that weight instantaneously the next day, right? Or we want to exercise and we must meet our goal the next week or the next month. And I realized one thing from my years of exercising and studying on this, there's this thing that's called a lag time, right? The time that really nothing is happening, but it is happening. But in that time is the phase where you have to kind of push through to get to that level where you want to get to.
Absolutely.
And, for many of us, we can't. So you understand this, I understand this, but for many who want to become healthy, who want to be physically fit, especially in times like today where we, need to build our immunity really, really, strong, literally. And I know discipline has a lot to do with it, but many of us are not disciplined because we don't understand the core yet to this, right?
It's a lack of focus.
Yeah, and I know you're talking about small bites, take small bites. So if you can actually give an example of what is it that small bite could be, and when you're not seeing the result that you need or you're after, what do you need to do to cultivate that habit? Because most of us, we know that after 21 days, and I'm happy that you share that, it takes 21 days to really get into whatever you want to get into and have a repetition. And the mind starts to kind of like, okay, this feels good, I want to do more of it. And by the time you get to the 90-day, it becomes a habit where you can't stop it, right? You're an autopilot. So how do we help people to actually get there?
Good point. It sounds like I'm talking about my company, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I love what you two do, and I'm absolutely sold on what you do, and I think more people should get involved in your company. And I say that as a professional sports person because the mind is everything. But the HIIT training is the only way forwards. Because look, and I'm going to try and be as polite as possible about this. Back in the 80s, Gold's Gym started the gym industry down on the beach in Miami. Big men, lots of muscles, off they go. In the 80s, gym companies, lovely gym companies, equipment manufacturers, looked at these men doing these specific poses and said, we can make some money out of this. And they built gym equipment that there was a fly deck and a chest press and a lateral raise. The reality is that those pieces of equipment were designed off movements that bodybuilders were using. Now, bodybuilders sleep 12 hours a day, eat 16 times a day, don't do much else but lift weights and keep themselves super healthy. So we're asking Mr. Singh, or my mother, who doesn't particularly like gymming, doesn't have the best of diets, and to go to a gym, sit on that piece of equipment and do that action, which is specifically a bodybuilding action, which is why for decades, 2 decades at least, 3 decades, people have been going to gyms, 80s, 90s and 2000s, sitting on a machine and working out, and nothing changes. Maybe the density of their muscle changes slightly, and maybe they look in the mirror and feel a bit happy. But the reality is that very little has changed because A, they're not training properly, because if you want to be told how to train properly, you have to pay a subcontracted personal trainer. And B, you're training like a bodybuilder. So the US Marine Corps brought around something called HIIT training, high intensive interval training. Now, the beauty of this is, and I don't know the absolute origins of HIIT training, I think it came from the US Marine Corps, but HIIT training is very short bursts of high intensive activity with short bursts of break. So for example, 20 seconds exercise, 20 seconds break, 20 seconds exercise, 20 seconds break, over 6 repetitions. So it's about 2.5 minutes of work total. And then you do maybe 3 to 6 sets of that. Now that means that within 24 minutes, 30 minutes let's call it, in 30 minutes you're doing about 11 minutes of exercise, total exercise, but your heart rate's gone straight up to 85%, which means that excess post-oxygen consumption, which is the intake of oxygen to increase metabolism, you have to be able to work out at about 80% for 12.5 minutes. Now, this is very difficult to do on your own. Honestly, I do it on my own and it's tedious. But HIIT training means you can work out for a very short period of time at any ability. So you can put an athlete next to a heart patient and they'll both do 20 seconds, but they'll do it within their own ability, which means that the heart patient will steadily do better. So let's say it's a squat. They do, and the heart patient does 2 and the athlete does 20. Now the athlete will do 22 after the first month. They'll increase their ability. But the heart patient may get to 3 or 4 or 5. But it's still an improvement. So we're no longer gauging how big are your muscles and how great do you look in spandex. Now we're gauging you on how does your heart react to this exercise and how are you personally gaining. So we strap, I don't have it with me, we strap heart rate monitors to people, and I want all companies to do this, and more gym companies are doing this. And you can do it at home. Get yourself a heart rate monitor. They all come with apps, and get a Jane Fonda video or whatever you want, or come to Hiit80 and just do a HIIT training class, because it will take you the quickest, guaranteed the quickest, from unhealthy, not fit, don't care, damn, I've got to do something, to, oh my God, I can actually do this. And while the trainer may be doing 20 movements per 20 seconds, and you do 2, a week later you'll do 3. A month later you'll do 4. And you will slowly find this dramatic change. The beauty, Diane, of this is that we're not talking about muscles here, ever. We're talking about the heart. Training the heart, because the rest of the body will follow. So anyone watching this and saying, hey, look, I need to do something about my life. I need to do it. Go to YouTube, 20-minute HIIT training, and try it out. And you will probably swear and sweat a little bit the first time round, but guarantee, Ashwin and Diane and myself, if you're ever watching this, guarantee that you'll do 5 sessions over 1 week. Well, okay, let's make it easier. Promise yourself you'll do 3 sessions over a week. Okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And just try it, because it'll probably change your life.
Wow, that's amazing. And I think for everyone that's watching this, I'm going to start this because I think I'm working out wrong. I've been running and I'm not seeing the results. So I think I've been working out wrong, and, the same consistency, but it's all about increasing the heart rate. And,
Diane, the difficulty with running is that running is an amazing sport, but you will plateau. You'll get to the point where you're good, but not much else is happening, because the body will get used to you expending that much energy, And the intake of food, I think people very rarely understand how much food they're actually taking in. Go to myfitnesspal.com. It's nothing to do with me. It's a free app. Start logging your food. See how much food you're actually putting into your body. Because the only way to drop fat off your body is a calorie deficit. And the beauty here, Diane, is that a calorie deficit means you can eat chocolate, McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken. You can eat anything, as long as you don't eat more calories than you're prescribed. Now, if you only eat McDonald's, you'll be very hungry all the time, and your skin will get bad. But so you do have to eat healthily, but you can eat anything as long as it's in a deficit. And if you're running, what I'd suggest you do for you personally is do your normal run, but every kilometer, find a lamppost and sprint between the two lampposts. So your heart rate goes, and then go back to running, and then sprint between the lampposts. Because if your heart's just constantly going at the same pace, you'll plateau. You need to constantly pick it up. So as you're running at your nice little pace, find a junction and run to the next block. Sprint like a crazy person. And also running like a crazy person's fun. Arms out. And then jog again. And you'll find that you will absolutely reach another level. I guarantee you this. And add into your run. How far do you run? 4 kilometers, 5 kilometers, 10?
About 3.
3.
Not that,
okay.
yeah.
So if you're going to run 3, I want you to do 6 lamppost sprints. Anywhere in that run, that's 6 lamppost sprints. Or I'm from England, so lampposts, in your case, blocks.
Got it. Thank you. Thanks for that advice.
Awesome, Chris. No, thank you. I'm sure people would have noted down the tips. Well, the good thing is they always have the option right after this call to rewind the whole Facebook Live and listen to it again and again if they missed out on any of the points that you have shared. So I'm going to take it somewhere entirely different in terms of, we kind of touched upon it in terms of the correlation between emotion and body. An example comes to my mind about this legend from India who recently passed away like a month ago, who also was an Olympian. He won 3 Olympic gold medals for India in the game of hockey in the 40s, and he died at the age in mid-90s. His name is Balbir Singh Senior, and we remember Diane and I got an opportunity to sit down with him in New York, and there was this one key moment that he was sharing about. Here he is about to go and play the final game, and that's when he gets a message that his wife is not doing well. She's serious, and anything and everything could happen. And here he's at a cross point where he has to choose between playing for his country and bringing that laurel back to his country, and at the same time it's personal life, tremendous fear and anxiety, and what will happen? I should be there taking care of her. Now that is an extreme example, and he still said to himself that if I play for the country and if I get this goal, I know that's what my wife would have wanted, and that's going to make her very happy. She's going to be extremely thrilled that I did the right thing. And he went ahead, he won, and what he did today, everyone from the Prime Minister of India to everyone, they've been talking about this, and they continue to talk even after he has passed on. So that's the legacy he has left behind. Now I'll kind of pan it down to individual life. Now, this happens in every life. Now, you had a good day, you had a bad day. You felt great in the morning, then a couple of hours later, you go down. You had an argument with someone, or you start feeling low about yourself. So there are a bunch of different transitions that the mind goes throughout the day. You have a standing challenge that you have to deal with. You have a financial problem. You have any other health problem, or you have a relationship problem. So when that whole clutter fills your mind, that's when all kinds of reasons come up. Oh, when so much is on in my life, the last thing I want to do is work out. The last thing I want to do is take care of my body. I'm sure when all this settles down, then I will take care of my body. Then I will do the right things. So there is procrastination. So a lot of procrastination, one, it comes from laziness. A lot of it comes from this idea of a better tomorrow. That's when I'll take care of my health. That's when I'll take care of life. That's when I will go for a vacation. So this habit to procrastinate. Now you spoke nicely about a habit to work, to hit it. So how are you going to replace the habit of hitting it in place of the habit of procrastination, because procrastination is big time, and especially if it is coupled with a standing challenge, the mind will give all kinds of reasons why you should wait. So what do you do when you had a challenge, when you face something you couldn't face? Did you suspend on your workout, on your fitness, or could you still push through? And it was beautiful that you got through that.
Always push through. I don't have the ability not to, if I'm honest. I would go as far as to say that procrastination is a habit. And people that don't, this better tomorrow, this go on a holiday thing tomorrow, or tomorrow I'll get fit. Procrastination is a habit all on its own. And I touched on it earlier by saying I'm built strong. I have these sort of keys that I use for myself. I've just taught myself how I do it. One really silly example is I have tattooed on my arm, I can't see it from there, it says, "Once more into the fray, my friend, once more into the breach we go. Never back down, never give up. Fear has no freedom, freedom has no fear." And I tattooed it on my arm because it's my mantra. Because if I let fear get into my life, then it's over. I mean, you two have played some sports in your time. If you go up, especially in a martial art point of view, scared, you're going to lose every single time. Now, bravado is something different, and ability is something different, technique and skill. But it's the mental triggers to remove fear from one's mind. I have been in many situations where I've had fear, but I always believe fear, I'll deal with fear afterwards. Fear can come to me afterwards, and I can sit in the corner and have a little cry maybe. I mean, it sounds very unmacho, but deal with fear after the situation. At the time in hand, do everything you can and shut your brain off and get on with it. Again, it's easy for me to say because I've spent years training myself to think like that. But I think viewers who are thinking about going on a health journey or just entering into something that is a little bit scary, and you know, it could be having a chat with Ashwin and Diane. It could be anything. And the day that you turn your back on fear is the day that your life changes. And it's what I said earlier. Once you realize that everything is mental, absolutely everything. I mean, we could even drag in physics to this, the concept of string theory and all that sort of thing that I don't understand. But there are physics theories where everything is a reflection and an interpretation. I'm not buying into that, and I have no opinion on that. But in that sort of genre, when you realize that everything is between these two ear holes, and everything is under your control, and everything is your bloody decision, quite frankly. I'm sorry to use that word, but it's your decision. So if you decide to stay in bed instead of going for a little walk or getting your 10,000 steps in, which is the trendy thing to do these days, then if you're constantly saying later, it's never going to happen. It has to be now. And the only reason you turn your back on it is because of fear. It's purely that simple. And I mean, again, I use little triggers. I say I'm built strong, which makes me constantly lift weights. I also have this wonderful winter. I learned a couple of years ago, I read this really cheesy book, and it changed how I kind of perceive this. And this was while I was in India. It was called the 3-second rule. And I mean, if the author ever listens to this, great book, you can read it in half an hour. But the 3-second rule is get out of bed and you say to yourself, 3, 2, 1, go. And I use that a lot in my life, because when I don't want to do something, or it's, you know, whatever's happened in life, and I don't want to do something, I say to myself, 3, 2, 1, go. And it's literally like grabbing yourself by the collar and walking yourself out. And again, I think I think she calls it the 5-second rule, but 5 seconds is too long. So it's about mental triggers. If anyone gets anything from this strange English guy on this little chat, yes, people bang on about discipline, and discipline is a very unattractive word these days because people don't want discipline because we should have it. But discipline is about yourself. It's about, do you bother to shower in the morning? That's discipline. And little mental triggers. So in my case, I tattooed my arm. I used my 3-2-1 rocket roll. And I constantly am telling myself, persuading myself that I'm built strong. So find mental triggers. That's the easiest way I can describe it. When, Diane, you go for a run, I'm sure it's raining sometimes, and you say, no, but there's something in you that makes you go. So with a lot of my clients in my gym company, we've started calling them and saying, where are you? Why aren't you here? And then trying to teach them mental triggers, that they associate things with the idea of going to get fit. A bit like a skull and crossbones on the outside of a McDonald's, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's the fact that, you know, and you said it nicely, Chris, that you have been conditioned, you have been trained in your mind.
Yeah.
And it's something that we tell people, you know, anyone who wants to want a better life, want to feel better inside of them, that it's not a one-day thing. It's not that I'm going to go and meditate, or I'm going to go read this book, or I'm going to go and, you know, listen to these videos. It's a great starting point, but it's a continuously training and cultivating the mind, constantly nurturing the mind, that where at some point it's going to become automatic, where you don't even think about the 3-second rule. You're just going to talk yourself. You know, you have all these wonderful affirmations. Most of the time, what we do, we have affirmations for ourselves that are negative.
Yes.
We tell ourselves how bad we are, how terrible of a person we are, how, you know, unworthy we are as a person. But we need to have these really great self-talk, these affirmations that's going to empower us, that's going to drive us, that's going to make us want to get out and do a lot more. And it's amazing that you're sharing this, because, you know, and you talk a lot about fear, and we've done a whole, Ashwin and myself have done a whole topic, Ahhaa talk on fear itself, because I always believe that you need to know your why, right? You need to know why you want to get, what is fear to begin with, and how does it really play a role on your mind? And we have a whole section on that. So if anyone wants to go back into our Ahhaa talks and really understand why we actually have fear in the first place. And I love what you wrote on your arm, that with fear, there's no freedom.
Correct.
Absolutely. If you're going to be in a place of fear and you want freedom in your life, and freedom in the mind, that's what we're talking about, right? Because it all starts there. There is literally no freedom there.
I have a very distinct opinion about fear, which I tell anyone that will listen, that when you're angry with somebody, they don't know, they don't care, they don't give a damn. And you're angry, but no one else knows. So it's in you, which is a manifestation of fear. So fear and anger have literally no place. Well, fear is a protective syndrome, but they have very little place in a human body, because it's negative, completely negative.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, today, everyone, we are talking about immunity, especially with a pandemic globally that's happening right now. And we all want to build our immunity. You know, the doctors are saying it. Everyone is talking about, you know, a strong immune system helps you to fight off these viruses and diseases. Yeah. If you can explain in a really basic way, what is immunity in your experience? And, you know, how can one really grow their immunity? Whether it's from taking the right vitamins aspects, we're talking about the mind immunity, we're talking about the body immunity. You know, if you could give maybe 3 to 5 steps and say, hey guys, do this and do it for X amount of time per day, you know, perhaps it'll help you on your path to building your immunity.
Yeah.
If you could share about that.
I mean, what does immunity mean? Immunity means a removal of your surroundings, pretty much. I mean, I'm not sure that's the most intelligent thing I've said, but it means that you're immune from your surroundings. And I mean, part of the reason I'm very fond of your company is because we're going down an internet information technology style world where people's immunity is disappearing. People are so focused on their gadgets and their phones and their iPads, and something you said earlier about attention span disappearing. TikTok is the new in social media. Why is it in? Because it's 15 seconds long and that's it. YouTube is not so popular because it's 10 minutes long. So fine. I mean, I'm not a fan of pills, vitamins. I think that they are, most of them just pass through the body anyway, if I can say that on live. Most of them don't work. I personally take vitamin C because it's really the best thing around, and sometimes I'm working and I don't always have the most balanced diet, so I supplement it with vitamin C, but that's just me personally. I wouldn't encourage anyone towards pills because it's natural food. A lot of people are more allergic to things than they don't know. So, I mean, always getting an allergy test is a fantastic thing to do. I've seen people literally drop weight off their face from finding out what they're allergic to and not eating it anymore, whether it's dairy or gluten or wheat. I'm not sure everyone who claims to be gluten intolerant is gluten intolerant, but it's a healthy diet. And when I say healthy, eat ice cream, eat a chocolate bar, but make sure you get fiber in your diet. Make sure that you get some vegetables in you, but please don't upset yourself by restricting yourself from your favorite brand of beer or your favorite brand of chocolate, because you've got to be happy as well. So, I mean, on the physical immunity, it's about healthy eating, it's about exercise. And my industry is one of the few industries that is IT proof. You can't get a machine to pump blood around your body at an elevated ability to burn fat cells and increase organ health. If you don't get off your backside and move, you're not going to live that long. Simple as that. Mental immunity, I think, is the bigger problem, because we're surrounded by the TikToks of the world or the social media. We're surrounded. I would have hated to have been a kid in this day and age, because bullying is tremendous and so easy to do. And I think that as we go further on in time from this point, organizations such as yours are going to become so important, because people have forgotten that we need to look after the brain. It's, oh, grow up, don't be so soft, get on with life. I can say that to myself, and I do say that to myself, but that's me. A lot of people, quite frankly, need a hug or need a helping hand or need some kindness in their life. And I'm not going to start running around throwing plastic hearts at everyone, because that's just not me. I'm not that nice. But I do think that we need to be calmer, and that can only come from your mind. And if you want some tips, I have sort of 6 pillars that I live my life by. 6 sort of how to cope with life. Let me get this right. Number 1, breathing. When you're emotional, watch your breathing. When you're scared, stressed, emotional, fear, too happy, maybe, watch your breathing. Ashwin, as a monk, they've been meditating for years. Now, most people don't get meditating. Most people can't achieve meditating. But if you control your breathing, you calm down. It's number 1. Number 2, positivity. A mental positive dialogue. Love yourself. It's not arrogant. Like who you are. And if you don't like it, change who you are. Have a constant positive mental dialogue. Chris, I was a bit bad-tempered this morning, quite frankly. Had a little chat with myself, did a bit of breathing, carried on with my day. And I don't know why I was bad-tempered, it just was. Number 3, I've got to get this right. Number 3, visualization. See yourself becoming what you want to become. For a sportsman, this is the number 1 goal. See yourself becoming where you want to be. I am 20 kilograms too heavy. I want to be 20 kilograms lighter. Visualize what I'm going to look like on the beach and how I'm going to feel, and that will drive you. And there's a sense of purpose. Which then brings me to number 4, which is micro goals, because the visualization works, but I can't suddenly cut 20 kilograms off my tummy because that's actually within me in my organs. So I got to take micro goals. I want to be able to walk to the shop and get some bread and milk. I want to be able to do a 20-minute HIIT class on the internet. Number 5 is my 3-2-1, because I love it. It's repetition, habit, and discipline. Every time you feel weak, 3, 2, 1, and you can't argue with yourself, because you get to 1, get off your butt. You got to go. And the last one, which is less important, I think I've got that right. Yeah, the last one is stretching. I, at my age and what I put my body through, if I don't stretch, I can't walk up the stairs. My knees are pretty shot. My lower back hurts a little bit. I ripped my bicep quite badly a couple of years back from lifting weights. The only way to keep mobile is to stretch. And while you're stretching, you're controlling your breathing, you're thinking about your visualization, and you're taking micro goals.
Wow.
6 steps.
I mean, so many of the steps that we use already in our lives and we talk about it, it's absolutely what we need to do, you know. And visualization, I think it's a very powerful tool, because, you know, many of us, we want great things in our lives, but we don't see ourselves in there. We don't see ourselves becoming that person. We want it, and wanting is not enough. The visualization and then taking that micro steps, right? That action that lead us towards that. We don't have to take long, big action, maybe just a few steps of walking or something that's going to take you towards your goal. Awesome, Chris. I remember coming when I was in Pune a few months before the lockdown. I was there and I was in your beautiful gym, and it was lovely and a beautiful space. And I know that we all can be there today. And for all the, the reasons that's happening with the pandemic, and this is global, right? Today now it's given us another way of really reaching audiences everywhere around the world.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's really wonderful.
How often would people actually get this kind of advice from an Olympian? Chris, are you available online for classes? Talk to us about HIIT. We want you to talk to us about, HIIT80. We want you to tell us, how can we get more of Chris? Because this is so what we're talking on mind and body. It's, it's everything we believe in. Yeah. So we want you to share about this. Where can they get online classes with you?
Sure. And just before I touch on that, I'm just giggling because when you were talking about people don't know themselves, I think it's Stockholm disease, where people love thy captor. And I think that people in this world have Stockholm disease. They love themselves, and the self is the captor. I won't get out of bed. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. You've got to get over it and give yourself little triggers, whatever you want. Put a line of chocolate to the front door. But you got to get out, because you will be truly happier once your physical form is better, and when your mental ability will follow. Regards me and Hiit80, we're online, hiit80.com and Hiit80 Fitness. It's called Hiit80 on Facebook. We do free classes. Log on at 6:30 Indian time, and you'll get me, this old guy, jumping around teaching HIIT for half an hour. And you're all very welcome. And on a serious note, if anyone really does want to get fit and they can't seem to work it out, they're welcome to reach out to me on the Facebook page. For those of you watching this, we've made the most exciting agreement with Ahhaa, where we're going to work together on physical fitness and mental health. People aren't taking it seriously enough yet, and as a sportsman, the only way you can win is through mental health. The only way, I think, as an entrepreneur you can continue is through having this clued up. So I'm exceptionally excited about working more with Ahhaa and seeing how we can develop, generally getting these two things, the two sides of the coin, connected, because it's not about bodybuilding. It's about having no fear so that you can have freedom.
Wow.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you for sharing those tips. Thank you for sharing those 6 mantras, and I'm sure people who are anyway seeing this, they have the access to Hiit80 right on the Facebook page, and they can just straight away go to the website. And I'm just thinking, which Diane and myself would again definitely love to invite you back in the future for more of these Ahhaa talks, and it reaches a wide range of audiences on different social media pages, and people are looking for it. And
it would always be a pleasure. Yeah. I mean, from our end of the company, we're looking at launching a nutritional process, and just I think people need to realize that abdominals are not important. A healthy body and a healthy mind is.
That's awesome. Great, Chris. So I hope all our viewers got a tremendous amount of insights listening to you. And
back to this, I'm sorry, Ashwin. I think it's so important to listen back to this Ahhaa talk over and over again, because really, this is, one of the most amazing talks we've had. We've had amazing people, on our talk so far, but I really love this because it really helps the person to become who they want to become in totality if they really follow some of these. And I don't believe in anything being a diet or a short-term fix. It's a lifestyle we're creating. So you want to create a lifestyle here for yourself. Sorry, Ashwin, I just had to add that.
No, that's absolutely fine. That's most important. I think many times the biggest challenge that people have is how to register. So even you, me, and Diane, we have spoken for the last 1 hour, and it's fascinating what all you have shared. But for a habit to get formed, the biggest issue is how much of it you actually register, because as you mentioned about social media, as you mentioned about other distractions and other involvements, in 5 minutes after this talk, something else is going to definitely come and occupy our mental space. In 1 hour, the effect is slowly waning. Tomorrow morning, it's just a memory. Oh, we were part of some talk. Perhaps it's a memory. That's how the brain works. And, unless and until it has truly emotionally become a part of you. So as you rightly mentioned about the habit before, I think, thanks to technology, that you have these reruns. You can listen to these again and again and listen to your precious insights, Chris, and that's how the whole origin of a mantra came. Why do we call a mantra? Because mantra is repetition. And you just don't chant a mantra one time and you call it traditionally a mantra. So you repeat again and again. So even seeing this video again and again, perhaps I believe can be a great mantra for many people when they are struggling, when they're looking for any kind of hope and clarity. So great, Chris. So what we normally do, I think something that we had shared with you at the end of this talk, we have a small meditation, a meditation for holding that place of intent, which in Sanskrit is called as sankalpa. Sankalpa basically means a heartfelt intent that you hold in your heart for a manifestation of a particular wish. So that's what we will do now for the next 5-10 minutes. And all of us can just take a comfortable position, and I'll just guide everyone through. So once again, thank you, Chris. And after this, we will just end this talk after the meditation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
So let us all just take in a couple of moments, thanking and recognizing that amazing wisdom, passion, and inspiration that we got to hear from a lovely friend, Chris, right here. And in that gratitude, life brings all kinds of amazing experiences from amazing people. Human being is an amazing creation who has so much to offer, so much to learn. And every time we have an interaction like this, we see human being at full manifestation of glory, of amazing, amazing contribution. And that's what this talk is all about. That's what Ahhaa is all about. And in that moment of recognition, moment of gratitude, let us take a few moments now, recognizing this present place, wherever you are in. You could be seated, you could be on the go. Just recognize wherever you are. Listen to all the sounds. Could be the sound of your neighborhood, my talking, some music. Take in every sound, allow every sound to sink in you and fill your body and mind. And as you listen to those sounds, completely relax yourself. Just feel good, relax yourself, take a few moments in that calm. As you listen to each and every sound, slowly bring your attention to your breathing. Breathing, such an amazing gift. We have been hearing about it, talking about it, immersing ourselves in this practice of breathing week after week. Again, we heard it from our friend Chris here. What an immense gift we have, the gift of breathing. Being able to inhale nice cold air through our nostrils and the warm air as we exhale every breath of life. How sacred, how pure it is. Let us feel our breathing. Let us take a couple of slow and deep inhalations. Every time you inhale, allow the air to fill your lungs fully. And imagine you're inhaling in all the clarity, all the peace, all the calm, all the good energy. Just fill you up. Just allow yourself to be swept away by this wave of good energy as you inhale. And every time you exhale, imagine all the conflict, all the fear, all the struggle, all the anxiety in you, just leaving you as you exhale and just getting blown away out of your system. Inhale that clarity, inhale that freedom, inhale that peace, and exhale out all the fear and anxiety and struggle. Inhale peace, exhale struggle. In that place of inhalation and exhalation, slow and deep. Allow this process to fill your body, each and every cell in your body, each and every thought in your mind, each and every part of your consciousness. As you inhale and exhale. Let us now slowly bring both our hands and place it on our heart region, the center of your chest. Feel your heart, feel your being, feel yourself fully alive this moment, breathing in and breathing out. This amazingly precious life that we are gifted with. You can see, hear, taste, touch, smell. This gift of life. This heart that is beating every second. Feel yourself, feel your life. And take this deep intent in your heart. Take this deep intent in your heart and tell yourself in your own mind, coming from a very powerful place of vision. I'm going to do all it takes. I'm going to do all it takes in me to live a clear, happy, healthy, compassionate life. I repeat, I'm going to do all it takes in me to live a clear, happy, healthy, compassionate life. And it continues like this. I'm going to do all it takes to help others live a clear, happy, healthy, compassionate life. I'm going to do all it takes to help others live a clear, happy, healthy, compassionate life. I'm going to do all it takes. So be it. That wonderful place of intent, as you're feeling your heart, just know that it has already started. It's only going to keep growing. It has been growing, and this intent is only going to grow manifold every second from now on. We're all here on this planet. Live a truly wonderful life. There's no waiting. It is this very moment, as you hear from me right now. Life is going to be wonderful. It is wonderful. It's only going to get better. You're going to help others feel the same. Blessings to us. Blessings to everyone out there who's wishing to be safe, to make their life better, happier. All those amazing families in every part of the world. Wish them all the best. May us, as a planet, grow, get through this challenge. Together, come out with greater light and wisdom to share with one another. That beautiful place of wisdom, feeling that sacred space. You can slowly bring down your hands. Feel that feeling for a couple of seconds. Take in a couple of deep breaths. Inhale the clarity. Exhale out all that struggle. And that, gently open your eyes. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Wish you all a wonderful time ahead. Bye.
Chris, thank you. Thank you all. Bye-bye.